everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 Something about your love, something about your love changes everything.
Greetings, teammates, and welcome to another Testimony Tuesday. I'm Tim Morton, Southeast Michigan Multi-Area Director for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And we try to provide a platform for others to share their personal stories of transformation. And every story has a hero, a villain, a victim, and a guide. And Jesus Christ was and still is to this day the greatest hero maker ever. I'm sure you would agree with me that we have enough villains and victims. What we need are more guides. And so the person I'm going to bring in just a few minutes is an amazing guide in many ways. And I'm super excited to spend this time with him today. So I'm not going to hold it up any longer. I'm going to bring in Matt Trombley. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, Tim.
Great to have you with us. Thanks for saying yes to this. And I thought we'd first start off by just sharing a little bit about how the Lord brought you and I together. I want to hear your part, and then I'll add a 2 cents or so.
Okay, well, I was at FCA camp for probably the 15th year and doing basketball, and they told me there's a new guy that's going to be leading basketball. And so I remember sitting down at the table for lunch or something and saying, "Hey, what do you got planned? What's your plan?" And I feel like I gave you a few thoughts on what had transpired in the past. And so we just kept sharing a meal together and kept getting to know each other a little bit. And then, of course, eventually we found out we both loved to fish, and then it was over. So
yes. Yeah, I knew we would eventually get to that. But first off, I want to say how much that relationship meant to me at the camp, because I was new to FCA, and I saw the impact that Dan had on that camp. And I knew, you being a veteran of the camp, that was very helpful. And you have been, to this point, you've been super helpful every year coming in and just adding a measure of calmness and connectedness, and you know what the camp's all about, you know why it's there, your kids come to the camp. So it's just been amazing to have you at a part of that ongoing for the last 4 years. And I know you're excited about the growth of the camp, because we've seen it go from what it was in 19 to what it is today. So you've been a big part of that growth, so thank you for that.
Yeah, amazing.
Yep. You've also participated in several events that we've had. We've had Coaches Appreciation Breakfast where you've come and shared, and also we just had our first leadership summit, and you came and did such a wonderful job of talking to our coaches and athletes on how to lead themselves well. And man, you just add so much to our ministry. You're an amazing person from that standpoint, but some may not know that you're a pastor, husband and father, but also a current basketball coach at Lakeview.
That's right. So, yeah, too many irons in the fire, probably.
I know you got a lot going on. So I really appreciate you being with us today. So I wanted to give you an opportunity, Matt, because I think your story is super powerful. And I think it's going to resonate with people, just to share briefly about your testimony, how you came to know Christ as your Lord and Savior.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So my story started really, I feel like at 2 years old, my parents got divorced. My mom remarried when I was about 6 years old, and she stayed married for about 10 years. And most of my childhood was in a decent family, but a dysfunctional family. The stepfather that I had was an alcoholic, brought a lot of dysfunction. We moved around all the time. So most of my childhood, I was going to new schools, trying to fit in, trying to find friends. And I remember specifically in my high school years, just making some decisions that weren't godly in any way. I was not a Christian. We kind of attended some churches, but never really was walking with the Lord at all. And so I was looking for love in all the wrong places, as the song goes. But I was just trying to fit a need. I was trying to fill what was not there. And it was a relationship with the Lord. And when I got to the age of 24, I had finished college. I got the chance to play basketball in college, played overseas for a season, came back, goal-orientated athlete, as many of us are, coaches, and accomplished all the goals that I had in life. Got a house, got a car, got a job, had a girlfriend, and unfortunately, really fortunately, actually, the Lord showed me that I was still missing something. So started attending my mom's church, was going there for a little bit, and there was a godly man there that the Lord used in a mighty way to walk alongside of me and show me how much God loved me. And it was actually on a work trip with him that my eyes were opened, and I wept tears of joy for the first time. God truly loves me, has a plan for my life, and I've been walking with him ever since. And since that moment, as I walked with the Lord, as I've done youth ministry, as I've coached and ministered, I've just been amazed at the need that I so longed for as a youngster and as a young man was now being fulfilled through my relationship with God, my relationship with Christ, really my relationship with my wife as well. We were both baptized together, kind of got saved together, and the Lord, we've been married now over 20 years. And so what a blessing all of this was. That's my testimony, my story of how I came to Christ. So enjoyed the journey, and now been over 20 years walking with the Lord, and encouraging my children to do the same and to serve him. So that's it in a quick nutshell.
Well, I appreciate that. And we've all had those people in our lives are the ones that introduced us to it or were an example of it. This person that did that for you, is he still around? Or is he still someone you stay connected to?
Not so much. He moved to Florida, and we don't. Every once in a while we touch base, but it's amazing how the Lord brings new people into your life. And I had prayed for a mentor. He mentored me. I mean, I must have had 1,000 questions as a new Christian. He answered them all and just guided me along. And then another person was put in my life, and another one. So, as iron sharpens iron, we sharpen one another. And so that's been amazing how God provides.
Amen. And the fact that you saying yes to these different things that I invite you into, being a huddle coach at Lakeview and helping out at camp and different events that we had. I know you see FCA as a platform that can help others, be aware of that thing that's missing, right? Especially you being an athlete, now you being a coach, you have this unbelievable opportunity to be that for others and pass that along. What's the motivating driving force behind why you say yes to all these things?
I think it's the spiritual gift that I have of teaching and encouraging, and that's something I feel like, I told myself a long time ago, if the Lord opens the door, if he asks me to do something, I'm not going to say no. I'm gonna do what he's called me to do, and sometimes it's not convenient. Sometimes it's puts a lot on my plate, but I've learned just to say yes to the Lord.
Wow. I was just at a leadership camp this past weekend, and the lead pastor there, and we were talking about love languages, and how we receive well. And I know those 5 love languages. We're not going to go into them, but the one thing he said that resonated with me was that God's love language is obedience. Mm. And that really hit me. It's like, yes. And that's exactly what you just said, saying yes to those things that come across. You might not even think that you're prepared for them, but you're going to say yes because the Lord has opened the door. He's created an opportunity, and you're going to be obedient and answer that call. So
that's right.
Really appreciate that you do that. I don't take that for granted. I appreciate our friendship, our brotherhood, the times that we get to go and fishing, just talk about life. It's been great. I have one more question for you. I'd really love to know your insight on it. Okay. As FCA staff, we still believe in the strategy of to and through the coach, and that changing that coach's heart, creating that opportunity for them to receive Jesus can be everything. It can be a game changer for their whole lives, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm always interested in knowing what those needs are, because the way that we can come in and build a relationship, engage with coaches is meeting needs first, and being there for them and supporting them. What do you see right now as a coach, because you're right in it, as the greatest need for coaches right now in this arena at this time?
So I think the biggest challenge for coaches is juggling everything going on in their personal lives. Like for me, when I was a gung-ho young varsity coach basketball, and we had good teams, and I was pouring into it, my marriage, it got sacrificed. It got put on the back burner. My kids got put on the back burner during the season, and then of course it's all year round. And so I feel like as coaches, a lot of them don't know how to balance it. It's that work-life balance that everybody struggles with sometimes. But I was really struggling with that early on. And one of the things that I've learned, and that I think that would really be helpful for coaches to understand, is that it doesn't have to be one or the other. In fact, if we, as Jesus said in Matthew 6:33, if we seek first the kingdom, then all the things are added to it. And so what that really means is Jesus is saying, put God first in your life, seek him, and then you will be a great father, you will be a great dad, you'll be a great coach. And that's something I think that coaches just need help with. And it's just really probably happens best one-on-one, or at least in a small community, a small group of some sort, where, we can, be honest and admit. And, just a couple practices ago, we were trying to put in some plays. And of course, when you're putting in plays, sometimes the kids get a little squirrely. And so I was getting frustrated, and I was raising my voice, and I was yelling at them. And afterwards, the Holy Spirit just convicted me and said, that you didn't treat them very well. Mm-hmm. And so the next practice, if I was prideful, I would have said, all right, we're going to do better. We're going to have a better practice. But I was actually humbled by the Spirit, and I just simply asked them for forgiveness. Just said, guys, had a bad practice, last time, we're going to do better. I'm going to do better. And I think that's something, if coaches knew that was okay, that would be a good thing.
Man, that's super powerful. And the word that comes to my mind is humility, Yeah. And that is not something we have on our own. It's really good that you said that relationship, especially if a coach is married, that relationship at home is super important. So I know one of the events that's in the planning stages for us right now for the state of Michigan is a coach's timeout, which is a coach's marriage retreat in Michigan. So we're in the planning stages for that. Just based on what you said, that definitely will meet a need, so that we can provide what coaches will need, to win at home, not just on the court, and to see their relationship with Jesus being first, and that everything will fall into place from there. Right. Super important that we need to be there for coaches and do that. So that example that you just set for your team, asking for forgiveness and showing humility, man, that could be one of the greatest lessons that they learned this year. And so I would say, if that was successful from that standpoint, that's greater than any win that the scoreboard says.
Yeah, hopefully.
But I know you're competitive just like me. You want to get that W.
That's right.
We can do that without sacrificing our principles, and that's why I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for the example that you set, not only as a coach, but as a husband and a father and a friend. And you mean a lot to me, brother. Love you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, this has been great. I want to thank Matt again for being here with us. And if you are a man or a woman that's interested in being a part of our ministry as a volunteer like Matt, or as a staff person, or in any way possible want to know more information about FCA, please reach out to us. But until we meet again, this is Tim Morton with Southeast Michigan FCA, where our mission is to lead every coach and athlete into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ and his church.